So our first question to the panel this morning is, or this afternoon, Kiavakea, is to ask you to tell us a little bit about your personal history in ʻŌlelo Hawaii and how you came into ʻŌlelo Hawaii. So just about your past. So like, how did you begin in ʻŌlelo Hawaii? Maybe 5 minutes each to give a little background. Ayaʻoe.
Hikino. Hi, aloha homai. I'm Ki Ope Raymond, and I was born in Lahaina. Growing up in Lahaina, born in 1954, so I'm a child of the late 50s, 60s, and early 70s in Lahaina, here on Maui. And in our home, certainly, there was music in Hawaiian. My mother danced hula. She's passed. She was a beautiful hula dancer. My father did not, neither of my parents spoke Hawaiian. But when I was 20 years old, I moved to Oahu to continue my education at at UH Manoa. And at UH Manoa, I entered the Hawaiian language program and have stayed in it ever since. At the same time, I was very blessed to be with a family member. I was 20, she was 85. My auntie Birdie, Na'ehu Elua, Naha'ulelua. And she was willing to work with me on language and pronunciation. And I'm so sorry that we have so few kupuna left, but we'll roll into what we're doing about that today. I left Manoa, came back here to Maui, started as a full-time instructor in 1982, and have continued in trying to teach Hawaiian language ever since. Most students succeed in spite of me. And I've been a member of the Ahapunana Leo, which continues my language education, just being around people who only speak in Hawaiian in all of their endeavors since 1986. And with a member of the audience, Hokulani Holt Padilla, and others, we started the Punana Leo o Maui it opened in 1987. And so that's how I've been associated with ʻŌlelo Hawaii.
Oh, mahalo nui.
Mahalo.
Aloha mai kākou. My name is Kanoilani Pacheco, and I'm from Makawao, Maui, so I've lived here all my life. And I'm the only one in my immediate family who is fluent in ʻŌlelo Hawaii, and I'm not too sure, but I think my mom enrolled me in Punana Leo because of all of my cousins, all of Auntie Kahele's kids were going, so I was going. The baby of 4, so I think I was just like the last, like the tester, like, okay, we're just gonna put one here. And so I was privileged enough to go through the Hawaiian Language Immersion Program. I graduated in 2015 and attended school here for 2 years, got my associates in Hawaiian Studies and Liberal Arts, and then transferred last August to UH Manoa, where I'm double majoring in ʻŌlelo Hawaii and ʻike Hawaii. So I always I'm super ha'a because, you know, growing up in Kaiapuni, you think everybody can ʻŌlelo Hawaii, and then you go to college and all of your hoʻopapa in ʻŌlelo Hawaii classes are just learning it for the first time. So it really is a privilege and an honor to have gone through the program and continue learning ʻŌlelo Hawaii.
Mahalo.
Aloha mai kākou. My name is Sesame. Growing up, I was never really around my culture, ʻŌlelo Hawaii. I think in the past, after having a child, Aukahi, it kind of got me thinking more about our lifestyle living in Hawaii, and I started doing research about, you know, sovereignty and all this kind of stuff. And I think it was probably about 5 years ago when it was kind of the decision of where my son would go to school. And I had cousins who had gone to immersion, so I knew that it was there, but I didn't know much about it. And I remember one day, I was, I had watched the video with this guy. He did this talk at one of these OHA meetings, and I was like, oh man, he like makes sense like to what we live in today, how we live today, and like how like trying to be Hawaiian and what a struggle that is. It all like it hit me so much. And then probably like a month later, I was standing in line at Ululani's Shevais, and I seen him. He was sitting there with his ohana, and I was like, oh, that's that guy. I was like, so I was like starstruck, like, oh my god. And then I was like standing there, and I was listening to them, and I was like, oh, their whole ohana was ʻŌlelo Hawaii, and like I was just amazed, because I never seen that growing up my whole life. I knew people would ʻŌlelo, but not like that, like in your ohana as an everyday thing. And I was just amazed, like wow, and it to me it put it together, like this guy is so akamai with ʻike Hawaii, and his whole ohana ʻŌlelo Hawaii is like there's something pili with that. That's something super important. And from that point, I was like, my son is gonna go to Kaiapuni. He's gonna ʻŌlelo Hawaii. And that next year, we put him in Kaiapuni. And ever since then, it's just been a steamroller into ʻŌlelo Hawaii, learning more, pushing myself to learn ʻŌlelo Hawaii. And so now I'm going to school.
But wait, we're going to get to that.
Okay.
We're going to get to that part. Mahalo nui. So our next question is, what are you doing now that expresses your Hawaiian independence through ʻŌlelo Hawaii?
Since 1996, one of the things I didn't mention earlier, I was asked, and I'm honored to sit on what's called the Hawaiian Language Lexicon Committee. And the Lexicon Committee creates words for students in the immersion programs, for people in the community. And so one of the things that we collectively, and I would hope that in the future more and more people create and share words that are used, because it needs to happen. We need to broaden the base of the amount, the sheer amount of words that can express in the 21st century what we're doing, while not neglecting, first of all, the words that our kupuna used. So how do you find that balance? But that's one of the things I'm doing. Most recently, in response to the question, we know that, hopefully most of you know, that one of our colleagues on this campus stood for his rights to speak ʻŌlelo Hawaii in the judiciary. And I think we should be all proud of that. What I did after that, in response to the question, was that when Supreme Court Chief Justice Rechtenwald responded to a recent legislative resolution that said all state employees should be more comfortable, if you will, with Hawaiian language and use Hawaiian language when possible. Judge Joseph Cardoza and I worked out an agreement, and so just to help out the judiciary, kahale ho'okolokolo no hoi. He's asked me, and I've given 5 pronunciation and better understanding classes where they can go on the internet to find things to help them use the Hawaiian language. And so I've done those 5 classes for about 200 employees up at the judiciary. That's the most recent thing I've done.
Okay. I currently work at Native Hawaiian Student Services at Manoa, and under the outreach the outreach team. So we've been trying to go to more of the public schools like Anuenue and charter schools like Halau Kumana, and try to recruit them to the college but also we've been creating like little reader packet things about la ʻŌkoʻa, about anything really. We're trying to translate a lookbook for a UH Manoa College from the lens of a kanaka. Translate that in Makolala Hawaii so that they have these things, you know. They see that ʻŌlelo is relevant. Just making it laha, really making it, normalizing ʻŌlelo in every aspect. Because we know that this institution wasn't made for us. It isn't made for us to succeed. So really just trying to aid them and make them feel comfortable and that they can be here and that they belong here and that we're for them. That's just one thing. And then personally, I'm still a student. I'm still learning. So I just try to jump in any ʻŌlelo classes that I can, just learn from as many kumu as I can so that I can just really build this solid foundation of ʻŌlelo for myself and just finish school, get my master's, and then come back home so that I can be a kumu for the program that gave me so much.
Mahalo nui.
So right now I'm in a master's program, and in my 4th year of ʻŌlelo Hawaii, I'm in a program, it's a teacher's education program to become a certified teacher, with hopes to become a kumu in Kaiapuni. You know, throughout my son being there, you just learn there's such a need for it, and so many more people are becoming aware of how important ʻŌlelo Hawaii is, and they want that for their keiki, they want that for their ohana, but it's just hard to find the support and the people to, because it's hard. I mean, learning ʻŌlelo Hawaii, it's, sometimes I wonder about my own ʻŌlelo Hawaii, but my kumu always teach me, like, it's a constant, like, process. You don't ever just achieve it. Like, you have to keep building your ʻŌlelo and striving to learn more. Like, I mean, like what Kanoe was saying, just to keep building your foundation. It's a constant process. Yeah.
Mahalo. Okay, our next question is about how you see us expressing our Hawaiian independence in the future through ʻŌlelo, whether personally or as a community, as a lahui. What do you see in the near and far future, hopefully?
My response to that would be, I'll use the fancy term, intergenerational transmission. That means the future, near term and long term, should not be considered, it shouldn't be considered that you have to be in a classroom. Our language will continue through makua teaching keiki, parents teaching children, and it is already happening. So that's why I'm saying the near term. This has now been the Hawaiian language movement, the aukahi, rather than the individuals. We're all moving through this forward together, has now been going on for 30 plus years. So we now have second and third generation, and we're seeing the success of families who have completely committed to intergenerational transmission. So I think that's one of the things that's going to need to happen. And then it's going to be a conscious choice to make. So today, I am consciously, at this point in time, speaking in English. But the nice thing about this idea of agency, taking it upon yourself to make the conscious decision that I will do something, is that we have this choice. Today, because in part of the audience, I'm addressing you in English, but I also now have the choice, not because it's one or the other, but the primary choice, if we want this language to live in response to short and long-term strategic planning, will be to make the choice to always ʻŌlelo Hawaii. Ina poʻe apau, ina manawa apau, ina wahi apau. Ano ka akalai ana, ina hiki a poko, a hiki a loa, he kupono, ke kaulele ana maluna o ke ia manao, e ola ka ʻŌlelo Hawaii. Nui ko kako mahalo, e like me ka pule, ia kaui ke auli. O ke la ali'i, ka mehemehe e kolu, nana I ano like kona mau makahiki me ko'okou mau makahiki. Kaui Keole was about the age of many of you right now. Kaui Keole became Kamehameha III at 11 years old, right? So he grew as we're seeing, and very soon he was 12. But we're seeing in the same way that students who have come through this program, he had to come through a maturation. Ua pono, kona ike ana, he Hawaii au, a nui ka poe mawaho, e no'o ana, make lako e ka'ili ya Hawaii. Aka mai oia. Ua ho'ike oia, I ke la make I loko ona, o Hawaii, he wahi Hawaii ke la. No leila ua ho'una oia, ia ha'alilio. So, Kaui Keole sends ha'alilio to say we need to negotiate these treaties. That's agency. That is a young man, probably the same age as many of you, making this conscious decision, I will stand up, I will be a leader for my people. Say, yes, he was the king, but he was also with kingship, let's take away the haole term, he was the mo'i, o ia ke ali'i nui. He knew he had certain kuleana, and there's where I would end it. The future, it's knowing what your kuleana is, thinking about the many different kuleana that are thrust upon you, and then saying, yes, awamo, I will shoulder these kuleana and go forward, whatever that is. No, oia no. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Kind of going off a little bit about what he said about agency and kuleana, that is the biggest thing for our future, and it's going to be hard, and we're going to need to resist. Resistance is like the biggest thing in practicing ʻŌlelo in every instance, every place, to every person, and at every level as well, especially in the governmental level. If we can start there and kind of branch out, we'll really be able to infiltrate the system. And on a panel that I hosted yesterday at UH Manoa at our ʻŌkoʻa celebration, the panel was entitled "O ka ʻŌlelo ka uku ʻokoʻa," and ʻŌlelo really is our ea. Yeah, ʻŌlelo is gonna be the thing that pushes us through this sovereignty movement. We can't expect to get our kingdom back or our lands back without first learning ʻŌlelo, because ʻŌlelo is the key to all of those avenues. You know, you can't really look for land document research if you don't know ʻŌlelo. You can't look for all kinds of ike, tons and tons and tons of ike just waiting to be researched in the new pepa. You can't do that if you don't know ʻŌlelo Hawaii. So it really is, ʻŌlelo is the key, and yeah, kala mai.
Yeah, like, I mean, when it dawned on me how important the ʻŌlelo is and the ike Hawaii, that it goes hand in hand. You know, even just the choice to like ʻŌlelo Hawaii is so against the grain of what we are in society today. Especially to put your kids in kaiopuni. I mean, I know so much people that are just like, why would you do that? Why would you do that to your keiki? Like, why, like, aren't you worried they're not gonna learn how to read English? And all of these reasons, like, and it's hard, and it's a constant throughout. My son's been in immersion he's in 3rd grade now, and like that question still comes up, and it makes you think to yourself, like, oh, like, am I doing this? Am I making the right decision for my son? But that's why you keep asking the conversation, like, you have the conversations, you ask these hard questions. Like, sometimes the conversations are really hard with people, like, why I would do this, or you know, just searching that ike and ʻŌlelo Hawaii, I think, is important to have both. But yeah, to choose ʻŌlelo is the key, and it's a struggle. It's a constant struggle. But it is kuleana. It is to push our lahui forward. It's always about kuleana, and what's gonna be for the benefit of all of our lahui, not just for me, not just for my keiki, but for everybody, for our future. How are we gonna kako'o that? That's kind of what I've learned and what drives me to what I do today.
Mahalo nui. So one of the things that I thought we would end the panel talking about some of the challenges. So you brought some of them out, and I've been teaching ʻŌlelo Hawaii for a long time, speaking ʻŌlelo for a long time, and I was on a panel once, and it was actually for the Okinawan Society, because they were trying to figure out how they could start a language immersion program. And so this wahine came up to me and she's like, "Oh my God, you guys are so great. You guys ʻŌlelo Hawaii," and this kind of stuff. And I was kind of like, well, it made me think. And when I thought back about the 3 generations of my family who didn't speak, right? My parents, my grandparents, and my great-grandparents who spoke as children but not after, I thought, it's not that we're so great, it's just that we have this privilege, right? We have this, in Hawaiian, kuleana is a privilege, it's a right, but it's also that our kupuna, our parents' generation, our grandparents' generation, and the generation before that, lived in a time where they struggled to survive, right? I mean, just surviving the occupation of the United States during that period, the racism that they encountered, all of the different challenges that they encountered, right? They survived all of that so that we today could have this privilege, right? So we don't face the kind of opposition. We still do, but not to the extent that they did. So for us today, at this point in time, we have this privilege to make a choice. Am I going to put my child into Hawaiian language immersion? Am I not? Am I going to learn ʻŌlelo? Am I not? So that's the privilege that we have today. And I guess, panels like this are here to sort of encourage people to take that challenge, because it is a challenge. It's not easy. But we also know that today, as privileged as we are living in this society, it is a choice that we can make, right? They didn't have a choice 1, 2, 3 generations back, right? We have that choice. So, when I teach Hawaiian, it is about exploring the different Hawaiian ways of knowing that are there for us, right? Through ʻŌlelo, through moʻolelo, through culture, through all of these different ways. It's one of those things that create this puzzle of Hawaiian identity. So, because I know, we talk about all the good stuff, but sometimes there is a challenge, right? It's how do you make that decision? What are the things that you count on? What are the things that you cherish and hold on to that allow you to get over that, maybe that outside force that is, sort of telling you, oh, what are you doing to your child, or why are you doing this? So maybe if you guys can talk a little bit about maybe some of the challenges, like Kiope, your 2 children have gone through immersion, what some of the challenges were and how you overcame those challenges or how you dealt with those challenges. Yeah. Hiki?
Hiki. As I alluded to earlier, I look out in the audience and I see Hokulani Holt Padilla. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that when I faced the challenge of being called by the board of directors for the Aha Punana Leo, my former kumu, who said, "Kiope, we think maybe, does Maui have a punana? Do you think you would start one?" And my 2.5-year-old son was my vested interest. And I said, yes. And the first person I called was Hoku. And I said, "You have a daughter. Let's all talk about this." And Hoku, since that time, has never turned her back on the idea of language revitalization. And if we all know Hoku, we know what a busy woman she is and how much she does for our community. And this is just another little chapter in what she did. So it in part was turn to others and realize we aren't going to do this alone. And I am very grateful to the entire community. And one of the wonderful things, I'll come back to that, but I thought about it, and I really want to encourage all of you through two things to talk about, and then if I have time, I'll come back to that. One of those is, yes, I am Hawaiian. I identify as Hawaiian, but I'm an incognito Hawaiian. Because my ancestors on my father's side, the Hawaiʻi side, came from Bristol, England, directly to Hawaii, not through America. My mother's side came from Montrose, Scotland, directly to Hawaii, not through America, and they became naturalized citizens of the kingdom. There were non-Hawaiians who were Hawaiian by nationality, not ethnicity. So we need to, I think, have a little broader view about who we want to accept in learning ʻŌlelo Hawaii, getting back in the lo'i, kuku kapa, whatever it is, as long as that person is trying to be pono and is expressing, I understand the need to have the Hawaiian nation again. And there are many variations and discussions. That's more of a political discussion. But that's one way to, I think, that it can move forward. We need to be accepting, inclusive of anybody who wants to ʻŌlelo Hawaii, hele mai ka papa, hoʻa'o i ka ʻŌlelo Hawaii, and then go to others. So that's one, and I've forgotten the other one. So yeah, ke ele makule nei. I hear ka pepo. So I'm going to pass on that, but my challenge to go back to how to do that. I always pule to my kupuna and belief, and this comes into it. I think if we understand this concept of akua, aina, kanaka, you cannot just have two. You have to have a connection to me, to some sort of belief system in your aumakua, your kupuna, na akua. And if you have that, you're strengthened. And so I turn to that. Pule vau yalako. No ke no yaku vau yalako e kokua mai. When I'm praying to my ancestors, I'm realizing that my ancestors once had ancestors who taught them that in the afterlife, they would be there for them. And my ancestors then got disconnected from that. But now I understand that train of thought, and I realize, oh, I just need to remake the connection to gain the strength. That's how I do it.
Mahalo.
Okay, some challenges just in the Kaiapuni system, because just surviving the Kaiapuni journey is a struggle in of itself, and makua of Kaiapuni students and Kaiapuni graduates can make their own attestments to that. But kumu was like the biggest struggle. I remember there would be like 6-month periods at a time where we would have a substitute who didn't speak ʻŌlelo Hawaii, because a lot of our kumus had to go back to school to because they weren't qualified. So that was really hard, you know, just having a kumu for like the first couple semesters, and then having this person that you don't even know, that doesn't even ʻŌlelo Hawaii, not just being kind of stagnant, which is what pushes me to become a kumu. Other challenges, funding. I remember doing all kinds of ridiculous fundraisers my whole life. Car wash, selling like beef jerky sticks at sometimes for Huaka'i Oahu. Funding was a huge struggle, but throughout all of the struggles, what pushed me through was knowing that it was a privilege. My kupuna didn't ʻŌlelo Hawaii. My kupuna kuakahi didn't ʻŌlelo Hawaii, and my kupuna kualua would do it behind their kids' backs. So, you know, this is something that was taken away from us, our ʻŌlelo, our lifeline, really, what our culture is embedded in. And just knowing that I knew how to speak made it enough for me to continue on throughout all the struggles. Even like in high school, some racist kumu, like you just gotta push through because ʻŌlelo is not gonna die. ʻŌlelo is here to stay, and it's only gonna flourish and grow. And the other thing is just kaiapuni ohana. So I think my class started off with like 20, maybe a little under 20 haumana, and by the end, when we graduated, we had 8, and we had been together for like all of our lives, pretty much. So just having the kako'o of your kaiapuni brothers and sisters, and then your like 10 second makua really, really, really helped me personally push through all of the struggles, and I wouldn't be here today without them. So mahalo.
Mahalo.
Mahalo nui.
And my kumu. Can't forget about your kumu.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, for our struggles and just being so fresh in this community of ʻŌlelo Hawaiʻi and stuff, it's like, I had so many questions when I came in, like, why would we be in the DOE? Why would we do it this way? You know, like, and, you know, I'm very privileged to be able to be surrounded by people like Kanoi and Kumu guys that have set the path for us. And like, you ask these questions and you get their ike, like to get their ike and their mana'o was so important to me, to know like why they did it the way they did. And that's kind of what helped me survive through all these struggles, through all these questions, is to be able to ask these questions and have these conversations about why we do all these things, and it's for the lahui. I mean, we have a kuleana to the lahui, to our keiki, to everybody. It's not just like, we have a privilege, and we have to share that privilege with those who don't have the privilege. So yeah, I mean, I just mahalo like being able to talk to Kanoi and her experiences in Kaiapuni, and our kumu kiope, kumu kahele, kumu kalekoa, you know, they all have all their keiki going through Kaiapuni, and how important it is to provide it for all of our keiki if you want it or not. And yeah, I mean, we're still, my son, he has a sub right now. You know, his kumu is on maternity. He has a kumu ʻŌlelo Hawaiʻi for 3 days out of the week, and the other 2 days he has a sub that can kind of ʻŌlelo, or sometimes they just have a sub that doesn't ʻŌlelo at all. I mean, it's still such a struggle, and we need more people to understand, like, to support it, to become kumu, to believe in it, to jump in the struggle along with all of us. It's important.
Mahalo nui. Okay, so the last question that I have for you guys before we open it up for questions from the, I know, I sent them 3. This is the 5th. You guys can. So the last question is, throughout your experience learning Hawaiian, advocating for Hawaiian, in the struggle for Hawaiian, what is the best thing in your mind? Like, if you had to, you know, tell somebody, like, what do you think the best, most important thing of your experience has been?
Oh, inina mai ka ikena. There are so many. There really are so many. In language revitalization, it is a community, and when the community is moving forward together, there is it's a very difficult thing to describe how light your na'au feels, how good you feel. But here's an interesting thing, and I see others in the audience. While I was listening, my eyes fell on Kili. Aloha Kili, kahu for punana leo o Maui. And there are 3 punana leo on Maui. It may have taken some time, but we're seeing this mahuahua, this growth. And the thing that makes maybe me the most happy was, and I think Hoku and Kili and yourself and others in the audience who have been working at this for a while, is that we all used to know each other. Everybody knew everybody who was in the program. And now it's just wonderful to be able to, say, be in a store or something and see a makuahine and her keiki, and you kind of think, oh, owai ke la ohana, a olevo kamaaina. Who is their family? I don't know who they are, but they're ʻŌlelo Hawaii. Yes! That's what makes me happy.
Mahalo.
I think one of my favorite things is when ho'opapa, who have gone through Kaiapuni and who haven't, are engaging in conversation ma ka ʻŌlelo haole, and they can't think of the English word, but they're like, I know this word in Hawaiian. I know this word in Hawaiian, but I cannot think of the English word. I love that because it shows that your konaʻike, your mindset, your worldview has switched. Because when you learn a different language, you really are like resetting your brain in this whole set of worldviews, like words, everything. So that's one of my favorite things. And then, like Kiope said, just seeing ohana at the airport, at the grocery store, everywhere, just you hear the ʻŌlelo and it's like, oh, that's beautiful. Like, where is it coming from, And especially not knowing the ohana, it really just shows how much our ʻŌlelo Hawaii community has grown. It's just really rewarding.
And there's room for more.
Yeah.
Mahalo.
I think, like they said, like community, being a part of the program, like you get really pili with a lot of the other ohana, and like I know my son's friends makua. I don't think you get that in a lot of other schools. Like you don't really know your keiki's friends ohana. That's a important thing to me, and really like fulfilling kuleana like makes me feel so good. I mean, before all of this, I mean, I was set to be an engineer, make money, do things for myself, be successful in the American sense of individualization. But that didn't like fulfill me. To do things for the lahui and to do things that I know is my kuleana, that makes me so happy that I'm doing something to support all of our people.
Mahalo nui.
Mahalo nui ʻokoʻa pau. So I would like to open it up to the audience if anybody has questions for the panel.
Aloha, I'm Marie Villarreal. I'm a student of Kumuka'eo. And one of my questions is, if I were to personally start raising some money, like you had said, would you guys consider doing public Hawaiian language classes for free?
I think that's a cool question.
Yeah.
They have them.
Yeah. So when I referenced my helping out the judiciary earlier, one of the things that I provided for them were a list of online available free classes and places that you can get information. And there are also a couple of places for a nominal fee where you can enroll. But there are free classes. So I'm not trying to evade your question, but I'm leading up to it by saying perhaps working with other faculty here, we can find a place or make a place. How about we make a place on the UH Maui website where people can go and then hyperlink off to other places where you can access free information to help strengthen your ʻŌlelo Hawaii. It's out there, but it may not be in one clearinghouse. Me personally, Yes, I try to help as much as I can. And so if we wanted a coordinated effort to offer classes, I try to help.
And we have a few free classes already, so I will let you know in the lab where those are, because we have one that happens on we have two actually that happen on campus on different days. Yeah. So there are opportunities. Anybody else in the audience have a question?
No, aloha kākou, and thank you for your being here today. Question I have is, well, it's a couple of questions. You know, how many students, young people, do we have that now ʻŌlelo Hawaii? And then funding and having enough teachers, kumut, seems to be one of the obstacles or challenges. Where is the main funding source coming from? What are the funding sources, and how can we get more teachers? I guess funding would be part of that connection too. Teachers seem to be the huge problem, right? We need more and more teachers. There's a lack of teachers. So, thank you.
So we recently sent out these little books for Laku ʻokoʻa to every kaya puni haumana and every punana leo haumana. And so I got to do an actual count, and there are across Maui, Paia, Kalama, Kaori-Lei, Lahaina, Nahi'enaena, Hana also. There's 730 haumana ʻŌlelo Hawaii. Right now. Currently in school. I mean, there's more that graduated. And then there's about a little over 50 kumu ʻŌlelo Hawaii in those kulas.
I know that in the last census, I think it was about 16,000 people across the state of Hawaii that checked Hawaiian as one of their languages. And when you study language revitalization, they usually say that if your language base is less than 10,000, then you're considered a dying language. And so I was happy to see that we're at 16,000. So we're no longer in the dying classification, if you know, according to some researchers. But on Maui, we have, I think across the state, Hawaiian language immersion has been growing, but especially on Maui, I think we've experienced the most growth. We have Paia, Kalama, and Kaori-Lei, and we also have Hana and Lahaina, who also has elementary, middle, and high school. So we are growing. And as far as teachers, we're a public school, so we're part of the Department of Education. We have a statewide consortium called ʻAhakauleo, where every Hawaiian language immersion school is represented, and we try and work on those large issues like funding and teacher training and all of those kinds of things. And the short answer is that we, you know, and Sesame alluded to this for a little bit. So it's a public school, and we choose to be a public school because, you know, and this is my bias, but I always tell them, the Department of Education was started during the Hawaiian Kingdom period. That's our Department of Education. We shouldn't have to go and find our own land and our own buildings and our own, right? We should be funded as part of the public education system. So for many of us, that has been, you know, something that we commit ourselves to make sure that the state of Hawaii and the Department of Education malama our keiki Hawaii and other keiki who choose to speak Hawaiian. Because in Hawaiian language immersion, we don't just have Hawaiian keiki. We have lots of different kinds of keiki. And the one thing that is in common is that they value the kind of ike that you can get from a language that was developed and in the place that you live, right? So there is a lot of work, and you know, and if you were my student, you know that I'm always trying to get people to become teachers in Hawaiian language and in not. I just think we need a revolution of public education in Hawaii, especially on Maui, whether it's in Hawaiian or not. But we need to see ourselves reflected as teachers, right? We bring so many teachers in from the mainland, right, who come and stay for a little bit, mahalo, but then they're going to go back to where they're from or someplace that's not as expensive as Hawaii to live. So we really need to grow our own. So that is something that, we all commit ourselves to, from the first year you're in Hawaiian language, 101, right? Be a teacher, be a teacher. Yeah. Any other questions from the Karen?
Can you try and explain why it's important for the keiki to understand la ʻŌkoʻa and how it leads to being a thriving human being?
Okay, so I think that as Kanaka and what we're teaching our keiki now, the curriculum that we're teaching our keiki now is so much different from when I was in school, and so much different when a lot of us were in school, because I didn't learn about la ʻŌkoʻa until I went to college. And it is super, super, super important, because the erasure of this national holiday is just like the erasure of our language, the erasure of our owner or our stewardship to land. So learning about la ʻŌkoʻa as adults is important to perpetuate the holiday, to normalize it, to make it realistic, because it still exists. Our ʻŌkoʻa still exists, and teaching it to the keiki is a very strategic way of making it laha, because kids, they're like, oh yeah, it's la ʻŌkoʻa, and then whatever adults or other keiki that they're hanging out with, they latch onto that, and then it just runs wild like weeds. And if you can teach keiki that, it's grounded in them for their whole lives. It's something that they understand, something that they can sit with, and something that they just know and believe in and trust from the time that they're keiki until they're o'o. So it's my personal manao.
Was that a sufficient answer? I mean, the interesting thing is that we could go on and on and on as it being one of the foundational, not just the idea of a holiday, but a foundational stone, a pohaku of that kahua. A maluna o ke la kahua e kukulu i ai ka lahui Hawaii. So it becomes part of the foundation that everybody understands, and on that you can build whatever you need to build, and it's not a shaky ground. It's a solid ground.
I think along with la ʻŌkoʻa, we learn about our patriots, and it further encourages our keiki's identity. Like, we're all from here, our keiki, to know about our own people, Timoteo Ha'alilio, and what he did. He died for our country, and for our keiki to understand, like, wow, like, they'll connect with that. Like, they need, through education, like, our keiki need to connect with what they're learning. If they're not connecting with what they're learning, they're not learning it. And to learn about, Columbus or all of these American patriots, it doesn't hit them. They don't, why are we teaching our kanaka, our keiki kanaka, like, about all these other people when we should be learning about our own? And to me, la ʻŌkoʻa is so important to instill in our keikis, to ho'omana the day, like, to give it power, to remind us, like, la ʻŌkoʻa, like, we were a nation, we were our own recognized nation among the most powerful people in the world. There's so much to that.
I just want to add something I thought about when you were talking about Timoteo and teaching it to our keiki and having that, hit them and something that they can resonate with. Like, those are our superheroes. Those are the heroes of the lahui, so they don't need to be down for Superman. Like, yeah. Timoteo Ha'alilio is our me'e.
Mahalo nui. Any other questions from the...
Aloha mai kako, o maile ko'ui noa. So I have a question on how to confront children who maybe not in a kaiapuni setting, but you possibly might come to this with some children, but especially in like just a regular public school, when children tell you, why do I even need to learn Hawaiian? What kind of response? Because it hits you. It's like, Mary, you need to learn Hawaiian. You're here. But you know, some parents might be like, oh, don't talk to my child like that.
Yeah.
But so what would be your guys' response, and to just instill in them that it is important, even just as a resident?
It's another very good question.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'll give what I did with my children first, because, and it's emotional. My child used to say, "Daddy, don't sing," because he would hear there weren't very many speakers of my generation and my age, and so my son, my vested interest that I talked about a minute ago, he would only hear Hawaiian music on the radio. He wouldn't hear anybody speaking Hawaiian. But in the house, ʻŌlelo Hawaiian, and his first languages were English and Hawaiian. But when he wanted to play the game, he would say, "Daddy, don't sing." And that would hurt, because I was like, oh, he actually means don't speak to me in that language. But my wife is very supportive, so it starts with a supportive ohana, or an extended ohana. If there are people who are single parents raising children, I'm sure, I had the blessing of a wahine who was as supportive, ikaika, encouraging our children and using ʻŌlelo Hawaii. My wife and I, honestly, do not ʻŌlelo Hawaii much to each other. We do, but it's pokole. It's not extended conversations in Hawaiian. Having said that, finding support and then having all of those people be in agreement to, I guess, it's encouraging the children. In a keiki, this is who we are. This is who mommy is. This is who daddy is. It's through this language that we identify who we are. And did you know that your mommy and daddy's kupuna used this language? And so being real gentle with children rather than being confrontational, telling them what they need to do, but encouraging them that there is a reason, there is a foundation for why this is going on. That's what I recall doing.
Mahalo.
I think a big thing is, like Hiope said, learning, pushing, like, okay, you don't know why you need to learn this language. Teach them the history. Teach them what happened to our language, what happened to our people, or that, ʻŌlelo Hawaii was an ʻŌlelo kuhelu of this aina. Some people don't even know that. So just educating them on the history of ʻŌlelo and the resurgence of ʻŌlelo. And then also, I feel like your peers can be your biggest bullies. And I'm guilty of this, in Kaiapuni would be like, okay, at recess we're gonna play freeze tag, Kaiapuni against the Haole side, So I think that we have this level of trauma, right? Because we've just fought all of our lives to have ʻŌlelo, that we use ʻŌlelo to talk smack behind, people's back. And I think that needs to change, and we need to be more graceful and accepting and open in explaining why people should learn ʻŌlelo, helping people who are navali-vali, and just really but just being ha'a and gentle and soft with people, with especially those types of people who are like, why do I need to learn ʻŌlelo? Just being olu and welcoming, really. Yeah.
I have one more thing. Actually, come to think of it, I need to be more honest that I shared with you what one strategy might be, but to be honest, one of my strategies was, Because I said you must do that. That's what I told him. Old school.
You need to.
Because you need to. And I would try to balance it with encouraging, but you got to hold the line. You got to be ikaika at times. Because I did it to my parents. My children did it to me. We'll play those mind games. No, I don't want to do that. ʻŌlelo make.
Too bad.
Hoka akolon. ʻŌlelo Hawaiʻi ana oe. There's no ifs, ands, or aka. No ifs, ands, or akas about it.
And I think just in general, as an educator in general, that's always, as a kumu, that's your thing. You have 30 students. You probably got to do something slightly different for all of them to make them see the value of whatever you're teaching them, whether it's math, English, about the place you live in. And it is sort of, and I think sometimes the perspective of why I gotta know about Hawaiian or why I gotta know about ʻŌlelo Hawaii is because the way that they're looking at the world, the way they've been taught to look at the world through education is from this sort of American lens. So they don't even, they cannot see the value. So part of it is about kind of nurturing that value about, about this is the place you live in, this is the people you live around, this is the history that we have in this area, and so it's a process, right? It's you have to contribute, you have to figure out how to nurture that value in those students, do different things, but yeah. So mahalo.
And I think just to ask the question is like the beginning of the process. Like for them to even care to ask the question, like that just opens the door to it all.
Let me tell you something about ʻŌlelo. Since you asked.
Okay, well, please help me mahalo our panelists for enriching our lives for the day of La Ku'oko'a. Mahalo nui loa. And I'd like to mahalo all of you for being here. We have another panel.